child support late. Money taking, heartbreaking, now you wonder why women hate men. The sneaky silent men, the punk domestic violence men, the quick to shoot semen, stop acting like boys and be men. How you gon' win when you ain't right within? How you gon' win when you ain't right within? How you gon' win when you ain't right within? Come again.
Not what I'm about. And yeah, I'm that guy who sits in the corner. I'm the guy who deals with all that rap crap. I've been blessed with the verse curse. But you know what? I can create lyrical miracles because it's not about what I make with my hands, but what I create with my mind and express with my soul. I consider this to be art in its purest form. But no! To you, it's trash, bile, putrid disgust, full of vile and mistrust. I am an artist, a spoken Van Gogh, a poetic Picasso, and it is my job as the artist to fix and transform and make you see beyond what you can and force you to think beyond my level. Because where you see failure, I see hope.
Every girl's a knockout. It's so depressing to know that in the eyes of 99% of these gorgeous women, I will never be anything more than a sheepish smile on the far side of a crowded 6 train. I wrote, Paul, in the land of the beautiful strangers, the reticent man will masturbate his life away. He said, dude, I got the forearms to prove it. Later that evening, I found myself frowning inside of the bathroom mirror, unable to reconcile the boldness of my text with the man in the reflection. His muscled forearms branded me a leper in a single flex, his body sharpened to an accusation. He raised an eyebrow like a crafty litigator looking for the kill, as if to ask how often I give advice I can't seem to take. A mirror will point out all the space between your theory and your practice. It will give you nothing harder than the facts. Mine sings a sorrow for the coward stuck inside its painted glass, a doctor scared to sign his own prescriptions.
Dear Keisha, you don't want me. From the first day we've met, I've never said an unkind word to you. Honored you for the woman God created you to be, held you in the same regard I would have for my mother and my sisters. But you don't want me. I've answered your midnight distress calls, let your wounds after verbal catfight let you vent for hours when no one else would listen. When you were sick and couldn't stop hugging the porcelain in your bathroom, I was there holding your hair back. When your grandmother was in the hospital riddled with cancer, I was there holding your hand. When you went to the chick flick marathon and watched Sleep in Seattle, Love Jones, and The Notebook all in the same night, I was there holding your tissue. Yet still, you don't want me. No, you want a bad boy, one of those thug types. Constantly lays hands on you, but has nothing to do with prayer. Shows he doesn't respect you, rejects you, and suspects you won't do anything about it. Flashy, sitting on 20-inch rims while still sitting at his mama's house. Can't even take you out to dinner. Instead of going Dutch, this dude goes nigga. Translation, baby, I ain't got it. Why? Because he hasn't worked since Bobby Brown's last album. And when you try to call him on it, he's feeding you those sidelines like, you understand we're in a recession, or ain't nobody high right now, or the ever popular, you know I'm in the studio.
It's the first time that I had to hide in plain sight. Clothing tugged down like a closed casket funeral only I was invited to. My mother didn't know until I was 13. 3, because I didn't stop. 4 years later, I stopped hiding and started lying. Caught on a nail. Caught on a fence. 5. One night, my mother's wine bottle told me how just once she tried to bleed out the poison her father had slipped into her childhood. She asked me whether some mad scientist had turned me Frankenstein's monster, stitched a victim self-loathing under my skin, and forced me to become my mother's daughter. I said no. If I can't remember the truth, it can't be called a lie. 6, scratched by a cat, scratched myself shaving, scratched myself 7. The 5th time I decided to quit, I started carrying a pack of cigarettes because there is no difference between cancer and this. There is no difference between my body turning against itself and my turning against my own body. I thought one vice could replace the other, but it was only 3 cigarettes later before circles replaced straight lines and I started burning them on skin stretched over an ashtray. 8, burned by hot water, burned myself cooking, burned myself 9. I've quit 6 times and I've never managed to stop 10. I met a woman whose lover asked her to carve pleasure out of him in bed.
I don't mean to sound like a self-righteous asshole, but the fact of the matter is, I am. I'm loath to lecture, but rather make the conjecture that real good sex is not a magic trick, no matter how tricky you think your dickie may be. Because it doesn't take a lifetime of turning tricks to tell real magic from a mirage, just like it doesn't take a masseuse to tell a hand job from a massage. Can't be written down in blueprints, doesn't lend well to charts and graphs, and despite what those fashion magazine tells you, the 150 different ways to please your lover, all variation of the speed and the rotation of the tongue. Now, I don't know shit. I'm talking out of my ass half the time. I ain't no wise man, no guru. I don't know voodoo from juju or a waltz from a boogaloo, but there's a couple things I know. Great epics have never been written about getting strange, nor have sonnets been composed about poontang, to use the slang. But there is a few things I know. The best sex starts with the organs you cannot put your hands on. Here and here. Thank you.
Them is my real test. To train them is my cause. Let's say you find a monster. Let's say your first instinct is to beat them within an inch of their life, take them captive, and force them to do whatever you want. Doesn't that sound awesome? When I was a kid, Pokemon was my obsession, and Ash Ketchum was my motherfucking hero. He was only 10 years old, but he went where he wanted, when he wanted. His best friend was an electric mouse and a fine redhead thing in short shorts. Followed him everywhere he went. I used to fantasize that my mom would wake me up with a backpack full of clothes, give me a handful of cash, and send me on to see the friendly neighborhood scientist. Because every community should have a friendly neighborhood scientist. And I'd begin my quest to catch them all. Instead, she just yelled at me to get my ass out of bed before I was late for school, where I sat antsy and anxious like an addict waiting for the next fix until finally 3 o'clock bell rang and I was freed from my educational incarceration. I'd sprint home, burst through the door, throw my backpack on the floor, turn on the TV, tune into WB, and it was Pokemon time! And after 30 minutes of adrenaline-injecting Japanese animation, I kicked open the backyard door, raised my plastic Pokeball, threw it at my dog. I missed. It broke. I cried.